When was the last time you said hello or had a real conversation with someone you didn't know? You didn't pull out your phone, you didn't stand or sit beside them in silence. You just talked. If you're struggling to remember, you're not really alone. There was a great recent interview where author and speaker Sinek asked renowned therapist Esther Perel the number one relationship skill Gen Z needs to master before entering the workplace. And guess what? She didn't talk about time management or tech fluency. She said it's learning how to talk to strangers. That's the lost art of small talk. Welcome to Handled by the Y Variable. I'm Yaa-Hemaa. This is the show where we bridge generations in the workplace with strategy that sticks. Each week, we tackle the real workplace challenges between managers and early career talent. No buzzwords, no generic advice, just practical frameworks that actually work for both sides. So in terms of what Esther Perel was talking about, what she was discussing, it's not about personality. It's not about being a chatterbox or charming or introverted or reserved. She was talking about what's missing and how we build trust with people around us. Esther was essentially saying that if we never practice unscripted connection, we won't build that muscle for uncertainty. Because every time you engage with the unknown, you're not just managing uncertainty, you're building a level of trust. And the workplace, as she says, it's full of unknowns. There are new colleagues that maybe you've never met, or a client reacts differently than you might have expected. You might have a conversation that could change your career, but that can only happen if you're willing and open to having that conversation. And so what she's talking about is that if every interaction outside of a screen, your phone, your computer, if that feels risky, every unknown person starts to feel scary and potentially negative rather than an opportunity. And when we don't practice building up that muscle, we walk into new spaces with less trust because we don't trust ourselves and our ability to interact with people we don't know, and we also don't end up trusting others. Gen Z is growing up really connected through online platforms. But those platforms, whether it's on the phone or on the computer, those are environments that are incredibly controlled and curated. You can create the world you want and how you exist in it, but that's not the case in the real world. Thousands of hours texting, posting, reacting to the content you see, but that's less time reading tone, body language, or the way someone's expression changes when they're about to say something really important. Look, there's a lot of efficiency in the digital world, of course. You can reach lots of people, but you're not going to encounter the kind of serendipity you might face in an uncontrolled environment in the real world. And I loved that Esther Perel used that term in her conversation with Sinek. Serendipity is a beautiful accident. It's the unexpected things that bring incredible value that you couldn't expect. And serendipity matters in life and in the workplace, because that's where trust is built and opportunity begins. So the filters and the scripts of the online world often bring a sense of this sort of perfect presentation. And that can be beautiful in its own way. We all love that curation. But it means we're also missing out on practicing being present and engaging in deep connection with other people. That kind only comes in person. So picture this. You're in an elevator with your new boss. You're going up 8 floors and it's just the two of you. You have a choice. Do you say something or do you pull out your phone? And this is a moment where careers can be made or missed. Because look, you're going into a meeting, that's great, but it can be really hard to connect in a meeting. There's a big group of people, there's an agenda, and while you're both in the same room, there isn't going to be the same level of connection as what you might have in that elevator ride. And here's the part that we don't often talk about enough. Magic shows up in some of the imperfect moments of life. When you talk to someone new, guess what? You might stumble. You might say something awkward. You might lose your train of thought or misread the room. And guess what? It's okay. One of the most important aspects, especially early in your career, is to learn and to be open to learning. And that learning is going to come in the friction, in the awkward moments, in environments that we don't really control. And you know what? Small talk really is, it's improv. You don't always know what your partner is going to do. And just as in improv, we do yes and, we continue along that reactive sort of line. It's the same thing in life. We have to learn how to roll with the situation, to be spontaneous and to be courageous in engaging in an environment or with people that we don't know. Because that's how we learn to think on our feet. That's how we learn resilience. And look, if you're Gen Z, you may be tired of hearing that. People are always talking about the need to be more resilient. But the reason it comes up so often when talking about your generation is because you need this in life. Otherwise, you'll always be sort of buffeted by the winds of life. You won't be able to face the difficulties that come. Genuine, messy, human interaction is going to help you to build that resilience. A little struggle is actually really good for you. Every awkward pause that you survive, because look, not every conversation is going to go well. Every misunderstanding that you work through teaches you that connection can come even in the imperfect moments. It's a practice. If you're a manager, you might see your new hire, that Gen Z employee, maybe they're hesitating to interact. They keep their headphones on all morning, or you have that analyst who emails instead of walking over to talk to you. Maybe you have an intern who's waiting to be spoken to. It's really easy to label that person as disengaged or maybe not very good at their job. But often it's just that they haven't practiced engagement. And your role as a manager isn't to fix them. That's not your job. But you can step in as a coach. Because every time you say, hey, how was your weekend? You're initiating and sort of teaching that connection is safe. And if you're early in your career, here's something you might not hear enough. Your work gets you in the room, but your relationships determine what happens next. You can be the perfect coder, you can be an amazing writer, you can analyze flawlessly, and you can still get passed over for opportunities because no one knows who you are or how to work with you. Your first job, it's really a series of conversations with strangers. And the more you practice in those moments with people you don't know very well or at all, the faster you'll find your footing and the better you'll be at connecting with others. Career growth runs on relationships, and relationships require presence. So start practicing. Ask follow-up questions. Show genuine interest in other people. Remember what it is that people tell you about themselves. It's so meaningful when someone remembers that maybe you were a star football player in high school or that your wife just had twins. Connection isn't accidental. It requires intention. And the connection that you build is the foundation for every promotion, partnership, and piece of feedback that will shape your future. Managers, you can help by making connection part of your workplace infrastructure and not just an afterthought. Here's what that looks like. It can be a Monday morning. You can say, hey, what did you do this weekend? Maybe before you have a client call, you ask your early career employees or other people in your team, hey, is anyone nervous? I am. In the kitchen, you can ask people. Let's say someone has just started on your team and they're a month in. How are you doing? Really? These aren't just soft skills. These are ways in which you build confidence in the people who work for you. You're team building. You're not just leading tasks, you're modeling a level of trust. And trust grows through repeated, low stakes, really human person-to-person interactions. When you avoid spontaneous interaction, you also avoid building those moments of sort of micro trust. And without that little bit of trust, it's hard to take the bigger risks. Every strong team is built on intangible moments. It's the quick check-in, it's hallway laughter and conversation, it's curiosity in other people. And that curiosity, that interest in your colleagues, then they become your professional allies. And that's not extra. It's not adding to your daily tasks and responsibility. Work is as much about, the day-to-day duties that you're involved in as it is in relationships. Remember, it's not just Gen Z that has this so-called problem. It's all of the technology we have access to that's impacting our ability to practice connection. Every one of us, no matter our generation, we're all in need of this practice. So here's your assignment, because I can't just leave you with nothing to do. This week, try speaking to someone you normally walk past. Maybe you're in the coffee shop and there's the barista. You can say a little something to them, or the person that's next to you at lunch, or maybe the junior analyst that you haven't met yet. And not just because you need something, but look at this as an effort to connect, to build trust in your ability to make someone else feel important or develop meaningful relationships. This is to develop trust in yourself too, that you're actually capable of doing this, and trust in other people, that there are people out there who will be open to the messy, the silly, the awkward, and the fun conversations of life. Your skill, your abilities to contribute to the workplace are going to open some doors, absolutely. But it's connection and your comfort with the discomfort. That's what's going to open up the opportunity. I hope you found that to be helpful. Please like, subscribe, and tell me, how did the assignment go? I hope you actually take me up on that because I think it's going to be really helpful. I look forward to seeing you next week.